Good morning. Welcome to a class on reported speech. This is the first session of four sessions on reported speech. It is a part of language component in the syllabus of English language for the fourth semester BCom and BBA course under the CBCS scheme in Mysore University. In this session, we will discuss on introduction to reported speech and changes in indirect speech in relation with the words of time and place. Now, let us understand the meaning of reported speech. Reported speech means recording the words of a speaker. That means if we record when a person says something, then that record or report is called reported speech. For example, I am very busy now. As we know, when we report what one has said on something or someone else, we can report it either directly or indirectly. Based on these ways of reportings, we divide the reported speech into two types: direct speech and the indirect speech. What is the meaning of direct speech? Direct speech means quoting actual words of the speaker. For example, Rama said, I am very busy now. If we tell quoting one's actual words as it is, then we call it as direct speech. The second one is indirect speech. Indirect speech means an act of reporting without the actual words of a speaker. For example, Rama said that he was very busy then. So, if we tell what one has said without quoting as exact or original words, then it is called indirect speech. Now, let us look into the direct speech. For example, or let us take the same old example. Rama said, I am very busy now. This is the example of direct speech. If we observe this example carefully, we can identify the used reporting verb, reporting clause, reported speech, pronoun, words of time and place, and tense, and punctuations in the above given example. Let us understand them one after the other. Firstly, reporting verb. So, here in this example, reporting verb is said. It means when we tell someone what another person said, we use verbs to report. That is, the verb tells what that someone has said. So, in the above example, the verb said tells us what Rama has told. So, the verb said acts as a reporting verb. And the second one is reporting clause. That is Rama in the example. So, reporting clause of direct speech is the clause that indicates who is talking. So, it is the clause which is outside of the double inverted commas in the direct speech. So, In the above example, Rama is the class, which indicates that Rama is the person who is talking. That means Rama is the subject of reporting verb said. And the next one, or the third one, is reported speech. Reported speech, it refers to the actual spoken words written within the quotation mark. That is, I am very busy now. In the above example, I am very busy now is the reported speech. Within this, even we can observe the usage of the pronoun I, and the word related to the time is now, and the tense of the reported speech is the very present tense. And then even we can also witness in the example the use of punctuations. We have comma after the verb said, after the reporting verb, and we have double inverted commas within which we can observe the reported speech, and even we can observe the full stop at the end of the sentence which falls within the double inverted comma. That means we use punctuation marks in the direct speech. Even we can observe the use of capital letters at the beginning, letter of the beginning word of the direct speech, and the beginning letter of the word within the reported speech. That means in direct speech we use reporting verb, reporting clause, reported speech, pronouns, words of time and place, and the tense and punctuations as well. Further, let's look into the changes in indirect speech. Changes in indirect speech occur when we convert a direct speech into indirect speech. For example, direct speech, Rama said, I am very busy now. Indirect speech, Rama told that he was very busy then. So, if we observe carefully, there are many changes occurred in the indirect speech. We can note the changes in the usage of punctuation, reporting verb, conjunction, pronoun, and the words of time and place. Let us look into them one by one in accordance with the above example. So the first change what we can seek in the above example is the first word of the reported speech begins with a capital letter and punctuation marks are used. For example, the beginning letter of the beginning word of the indirect speech Rama, where the letter R is in capital, and even we can observe the use of full stop mark at the end of the sentence. The second one is the tense of the reporting verb is never changed. Means in the direct speech the tense of the reporting verb is in past tense, that is said. When we convert the direct speech into indirect speech, we have used the reporting verb in the same tense, that is the past tense. Rama told, the reporting verb is in the past tense. That means there is no change in the tense. But in the reporting verb we can look into the change in the very word in accordance to the sense. That means said and told conveys the same meaning. So instead of using said, we have used told. Even we can use said as well. In a similar way, we can use such changed words of reporting verb like asked, inquired in accordance to the context of the sentence. Further, the next change is the conjunctions are used before the indirect statement or after the reporting verb like that, if, whether. That means in the indirect speech, Rama told that he was very busy then. Here, the conjunction that has been used after the reporting verb, or it has been used before the reported speech, that is, he was very busy then. We use that conjunction in order to link the reporting verb and the reported speech by removing double inverted comma that's used in the direct speech. So in the similar way, in accordance with the contextual usage of the sentences, we use the conjunctions like if and whether as well. And another change that we can notice in the indirect speech is no double inverted commas are used. When we convert a direct speech into indirect speech, we remove the double inverted comma of the reported speech and we use the that means the conjunction to connect the reporting verb with the reported speech. So in indirect speeches, we do not use any double inverted commas or quotation marks. Then the another change that we can witness in the indirect speech is the change in pronoun. Pronoun of the reported speech changes in accordance with the subject or object of the reporting verb. So if you look into the direct speech, Rama said, I am very busy now. So in the reported speech, the pronoun, the first person pronoun I is used. When we have converted that sentence into the indirect speech, there we have used Rama told that he was very busy then. That means the first person pronoun in the direct speech has changed into the third person pronoun in the indirect speech. So I has become he, and the changing of the person of the pronoun, it depends on the subject or the object of the reporting verb. Here in the above sentence, the subject of the reporting verb is Rama, which is the third person singular. So in accordance to it, the first person pronoun in the direct speech has changed into the third person singular in the indirect speech. Further, the next one is words expressing nearness in time or place changes into distantness. That means the words in the direct speech, I am very busy now. The word now which shows the nearness of time. But when we convert it into the indirect speech, it becomes a distant word meaning giving the meaning of distantness, that is then. That means the words of time and place meaning referring to the nearness in time changes into the distantness in the indirect speech. And the last one is tense of the verb in reported speech may change in accordance with the tense of the reporting verb. That means the in indirect speech even tense changes, and the tense changes in accordance to the reporting, in accordance to the verb of the tense of the reporting verb. For example, Rama said, I am very busy now. Here, in direct speech, the reporting verb said is in past tense, whereas the reported speech in present tense. When we convert a direct speech into the indirect speech, the tense of the reported speech gets converted in accordance with the tense of the reporting verb. So the told is in past tense, and even the reported speech gets converted into the past tense. That means the simple present tense has changed into the simple past tense. So for we have seen the changes in indirect speech. So one can come across the changes in terms of reporting verbs, punctuation, pronouns, words with the words of time and place, and then the tense in the indirect speech. Now let us look into the changes in the words of time or place. That means whenever we convert a direct speech into indirect speech, if there are words that conveys the meaning of nearness in time or place are contextually changed into words expressing distantness. That means the words of time or place in the direct speech will change, will contextually change to expressing distantness. Let us look into a few words. Now in the direct speech becomes then in the indirect speech. Here becomes there. Ago becomes before. Thus becomes so. Today becomes that day. Tomorrow becomes the next day. Yesterday becomes the day before. Last night becomes the night before. This becomes that. These in the direct speech becomes those in the indirect speech. So far we have seen few words of time or place that which gets changed when it is converted from direct speech into the indirect speech. Let us look into few examples related to the changes in the words of time or place. First example, he said, my uncle is here. So it is the direct speech, and here shows it is the word of place, which shows the nearness of place. And when we change that direct into indirect, it becomes he told that his uncle was there. So in the indirect speech, the word here is replaced by the word there, which changes the meaning of from nearness to distantness. Let us look into the second example. Smita said, I saw Rupa last night. It is in direct speech. Last night shows the nearness of time, and when it is converted into indirect speech, Smita told that she had seen Rupa the day before. Here, the word last night, which expresses the nearness of time and changes into the distantness of time in the indirect speech, that is the day before. And the last example is direct speech. Raju said, I met my friend 2 years ago. So in the direct speech, 2 years ago refers to the nearness of time. Indirect speech, Raju told that he had met his friend 2 years before. Here, 2 years before refers to the distantness of time. So, what we need to understand here is, if we are using the words of time and place in the direct speech, normally we use it expressing the nearness, and when we convert those direct speeches into indirect speeches, there the words of time or place are changed, just expressing the distantness. So in this session we have been introduced to reported speech, the content of what is reported speech, what are the two types of reports of speech, that is the direct speech and the indirect speech, and what are their meaning, and what are the contents of direct speech, and then what are the changes that happens in indirect speech when it is converted from direct to indirect. And even we have seen the changes that can happen in relation to the words of time and place in indirect speeches. I think you have understood something on reported speech. With this, I end my class. Thank you.